Okay. There we go. Let's go. So yesterday I was adding comments to planning items. We got the UI done on the stream, but after the stream, I did do the back end to store the actual planning items. So I wired up the store and in, added the service into the store. We had the with item comments, and yesterday we were just patching the state of the store with the comment we're adding. Now we're going to post to the endpoint, and all the endpoints return the GUID, the identifier of the thing that they're adding, so that they can track them. That way, when we update, if we do the push down to the client, you've got an ID to update as you get more information. MKB, hello. How are you? Rambling Geek, hello. How is your day going? Oh, good afternoon to both of you. You TypeScript? Yes, I do. I do Angular. So comments, they won't show, but you can add a comment, adding a comment, and when it saves, it will mark that as a comment. Not sure why that form doesn't reset yet, but we'll come back around on that one in a minute. So now, in order to get the comments to display, days, I assume you mean day. Chilled, not very productive. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need your brain to just like I haven't been productive this week. Other than the streams, I've really done very little. Not what I wanted to do. I wanted to empty this room. I wanted to rewire everything, and I just like, yeah. I've got the weekend still. It's fine. So it is what it is. So let's add all these things in there. So let's do that. Yeah. You need me to come and do it for you. I just need to motivate myself to do it. That's all. It's too tired. Introduce endpoints for. I think for me, it's just focusing myself on, okay, I need to get rid of some stuff, sell some stuff. And it's just the amount of time that takes and the amount of effort that takes that I'm just like not driven or motivated to do it. This time I could be doing other things. Well, not that I get that much. Introduce endpoint for adding comment to item. For 99% nice stuff, bid is the option. So wasteful, but time versus reward is the lesser of two evils. Yeah, I mean, I've got computer equipment I need to decide what I'm going to do with. I need to get boxes to organize, cabling. I need to do all sorts. You're making the job too big, break up into small jobs today is make a pile of things to sell. Well, the problem is the pile of things as hell is in the pile of things that I need to organize, and I have a general attention problem there for certain. I am I'm going to do this, then I see this, and that bugs me, so I move to this, and then I don't get anything done. So I get that one day. Introduce endpoint for adding comment to planning item, added test event. No, not a hoarder. I do get rid of stuff. It's more the organizational part of it that I'm like, I don't know how to organize properly. I can build shells for my games, possibly. Although in the last year my sleep has been generally terrible, so it could be more sleep deprivation than actual diagnosable ADHD. Introduce endpoint for adding component comment planning item added test for events publishing and added integration events for planning items. So we should actually see. Where are you? So we should see over here is when I publish comments. So there's the published comments, right? So adding a comment. These are the comments that go with there. We should see planning items appropriately updated, right? So planning items gets published as well. The problem is I didn't put the events on the. I didn't change the events there. Planning items to publish. So the problem with that is I test for events publishing the domain event. Feature added integration events for comment and planning items to publish. Let's commit that right a second. So what happens is when we comment on a planning item, so this is all the code for comment, right? It creates a new comment and it adds it to the system. Creating that comment will publish an event that says the comment has been added. And then here are the subscribers to comment added. We publish the integration, so we publish the event for the comment integration to Kafka and publish the planning item at the same time. The problem here is I haven't changed this to publish the comments for the planning item because I just publish the planning item. But this now needs to have comments added to it. So to do that, we do this, and we need public IEnumerable, GUID, and alphabetical if we can. Of comments gets that equal null. So now this event will get published, and then now because several things trigger the planning item. I've created a base publisher class here. So anything that wants to publish planning item should use this base class. and now it can publish the planning item integration event. Um, the reason I have these broken out is because they are both responding to that event. It doesn't matter which one goes first. It's a good way of making the system reactive without hard coding that behavior. So if you were to come along and say, okay, well, I need something else in the system, like there's another event that triggers a comment being created, right? Let's say you wanted to automate a comment or whatever. You can't avoid the actual act. Well, it's very hard to avoid the actual act of publishing the integration event. And that's kind of how I'm wiring the system up, in that it's not the responsibility of the comment on planning item handler to be responsible for knowing who needs to be notified or who needs whatever needs to change. These other things can happen in reaction to that event being added. And they are wrapped up in the database transaction, or rather they're triggered after the database transaction. So I have the data secured and then go off and publish the event. So it is a I feel it's a pretty neat way of doing it. Neat as in tidy, not neat as in cool. But yeah. So what we're doing here is comments equals planning item dot. That's why we have the association. So I learned a valuable lesson yesterday. So I'd added comments as a collection on here. Because of the way that I'm using specifications, I don't necessarily have access to the DB context. So I can't just say, okay, go get the comments in the database for this planning item. I'm going to have to create a navigational property, but I need to configure the navigational property. Just configuring this is enough for Entity Framework to assume that all this is here and looks for those foreign key relationships. So I tripped up yesterday with this because I got into a mess with this. Let's move that. Attachments, requirements, builder that has many. C goes to C dot comments with one. That's interesting that it assumed that relationship. So I must have done attachments. Yeah. Dang it. Requirements. Planning items. So they don't acquire. Comment. I think I have to be consistent here. I have to be so the problem is in this, when I do the attachments, yeah, I inject the planning item repository and I add the attachment through the planning item. Right. So it has that association. With the comments, I wanted to get away with that. I wanted to get away from that again, because again, look at all this behavior I have in here now. This is all in the planning item. And okay, planning item is kind of an aggregate root, but it's getting messy and I don't like this behavior necessarily. Now it does tighten everything up. It does make it you know, the behavior against planning item, you can't avoid. If you want to attach something or whatever, you have to do it through here. or you should do it through here. Projects, attachments, the business, the rules as to whether you can or not are kind of in here. Oh, we can must say I've noticed that maybe. I think a lot of people have some level. No, a hoarder. I didn't see. It doesn't tell me. It's like because you got ADHD there. On that screen, it doesn't tell me that you were applying, and that I see you're a hoarder. I'm not necessarily a hoarder. I think I collect projects. I think that's common, definitely common for especially techie people. I think, and I think the two kind of go in hand a little bit. Aforementioned attention deficits. For me, if I buy something, I get uh, um, I attach value to that. So if I don't use that thing, then I don't like throwing that thing out or getting rid of that thing because it feels wasteful. Um, but I think a lot of the things I wanted growing up, like the video games, definitely are something because I wanted them as growing up, and now I can afford them. I can buy them. So the video games are nostalgia plus, you know, that ability. But here's what it is. Get there one day. So I've got two options here, right? I may either inject a planning item repository and put this behavior in here, or I inject the comment repository as I'm doing now, add the comment, and then resolve this differently. Because um, I can associate it through the identifier, but then it's wildly inconsistent. So again, what I do here is I would add yet another method to this. And this again is starting to get a little bit heavier. What do I want? I mean, from a consistency perspective, I'm kind of all in on this pattern. Sorry, I had noise behind me with the dog. So this would look like public void. See, again, it's weird. Actually, I do this somewhere. I thought I did it differently somewhere else. Yeah, see, that associates the attachments are created outside of the thing. I just add them in here. So this would be add comment. Um, well, this would be comment grid it's kind of added onto the comment anyway. Comment dot planning item ID equals ID comments to add comment. We're going to break the pattern for right this second. We don't need we let's do this. I'm going to public virtual planning item. Then in here with one as many P goes to P comments, C goes to C dot planning item has principal key C P goes to P dot identifier has foreign key C goes to C dot planning item identifier. I believe that will configure that using the GUID. Again, I'm not. I'm trying to build. What I'm building there is essentially an aggregate, but it's not quite an aggregate. So I don't really want to. I don't. That's why expanding this pattern feels really awkward. It works from an ownership perspective because I shouldn't be able to like projects with planning items, etc. Users, etc. should be fine. This leaves this code working okay. It's just now I've deviated, and I probably do want to come back and do that. Yeah, there's too much behavior in there now, and that's why I'm hesitating because it fits because everything is off planning item and one in Dota, by the way. So it does kind of fit, and I do like the ownership aspect of it, but in the same, I don't because I'm questioning why I'm doing that. Um, yeah, and that's why I mean, a kind of reasoning and debating at the same time. So because I think it's useful to some extent, but I really want to dig more into because I think what it's actually expanding on is there's actually a solid domain in there that I probably should like pull out a little bit and explore rather than just going forward with objects that are kind of related to each other. Um, but yeah, it's going to be challenging. So this will allow me to do this now. Planning item dot comments dot select C goes to C dot identifier. Right, that's what I need to do there. I need to go through and fix a bunch of these. That's that. That's the view. That's better view. Okay, so bear views up and running, and now let's start planning items. So what this should do now, adding another comment. Let's see what this lets me do now. Well, it's saved. So this only appears here when the GUID comes back from the server to say, yes, it's been added. And apart from the form reset not working properly. So comments, there's our comment saved. It's got the right planning item identifier, the same one we've got. And now on the Kafka side, we really want to see, there you go, there's planning item update happened. And we should have, that's bad. That is bad. I mean, the query in general works. Or in theory works, rather. Oh, I know why. I know why. That's bad. Okay, so this is a side effect. So see this planning item by identified no tracking. You need to include these explicitly to get them to be added in, and no tracking just to keep the cost down. I'm not using lazy loading on that. So one more comment. It should work. It should actually publish all lazy proxies. That's one. Yeah. Lazy loading, lazy proxies. There's a reason I didn't enable that as well. That was an early discovery as to why I shouldn't be doing that one. It's fine for the spec to, so the spec, it allows the spec to control those includes. So I can, if I know that I'm not going to include everything, I don't have to pull all the references in. Once more, a comment that should pull all the things together. There you go. And now that's our comment. And we should get a planning item in a second. He says, I sometimes find myself pushed towards dapper and explicit projections just to avoid some of the EF magic. Great at small scale, but God could cause DBs to crumble at scale. So I'm kind of hoping that my usage of entity framework is, there you go, there's the comments. Okay, sweet. Light enough that I'm not going, because it's broken out across all the different projects, that it's not going to cause me any major issues there. Because what with applying specifications on top of entity framework, like I've seen entity framework work on a great deal of data before. Um, but what sort of scale are you talking when it causes DBs to crumble? Like I've seen thousands of users on entity framework. Now, different databases, um, but the same code. Thousands of you, tens of thousands of users on a single database, never. Um, but my hope is that because of the bacon buddy time, problem with the FBs are they're not optimal. Don't get me wrong, what you're doing here is fine, but do 15 joins in 3 projections and see the crew you end up with versus let me write this by hand. Yeah, my hope is again, I think my hope here is that by doing this the way I am doing it, the chances of 15 join query are minimal at this point because I shouldn't only in this integration event stuff should I actually need to join anything, and everything should be kind of ideal. The view or a reporting database, I don't. Well, the view uses GraphQL against DB context right now. But if it was a reporting database, then something like Dapper and writing my own queries is probably more optimal anyway. So yeah, and I've experienced entity frameworks quirky queries before. Um, they've got a lot better from what they used to be. um, hard to make the index in that case too. I've seen EF produce queries where the SQL execution point times out. I've seen that for certain. Um, I've seen a case where the query was a large link query that we wrote against it, and that sent entity framework off into a tizzy. And we broke up the query in weird ways and learned some quirks about how we use lets inside of queries and how it can change that. You've got two people in another room, and you come and get me. Come here. What's the matter? Um, yeah. So I've seen optimizations necessary to get to the framework stuff in the past. Um, large multi-table joins, etc., and how EF builds a query based upon because I like to use lets to make more readable variables, but that actually causes some problems. Um, nice, yeah. So, but again, I think that my usage of it right this second is not going to do anything for quite a while, and even if it was, I can kind of evaluate it on a smaller case basis, which will be useful. Um, it would be horrible to have. I mean, liking using the specifications because it's keeping my amount of link in any single. Because most of the time I'm just selecting, right? I'm not doing anything advanced here. Um, so it is kind of useful for me. There we go. Okay, so we need to stop that. We need to include that. Um, add comments as a uh, add comments to buying item. Yeah. specification to be able to comments. Think advanced there. Add comments. The integration events for change a comment to include comment and update. That's against foundation. End of the change. Update Kafka ocelot configurations for and topic. Update comment service with store to okay. So now we need to go to the other side of things where we need to integrate those things. So the view. So the weird, I need to rename this in some way, shape, or form because it's not a very constructive way to refer to it. But this isn't actually the view. The view is the Angular side of things, really, I suppose. The actual UI is the Angular side of things. This is all to do with displaying that data, though, right? It's the GraphQL API for that. Tagging everything as GraphQL doesn't make sense, but tagging everything as view is also kind of confusing when you've got the view using views in the database. So first component is you need a receiver. I need to do a bit of work on that as well. So this is being added as we speak. We need to do what do we need to do here? I need to That's something in my head then. I need to remember to do something. Receive configurable machine for Lexi. Good morning. How are you doing? I assume I'm saying that name right, but please correct me if I'm not. How's things? Create configurable receiver configuration for Kafka endpoints, receivers. So what I was thinking then is these receivers. Right now, what happens is the consumer task Tick tick, good morning or good afternoon for you. These right now it starts up and runs all of these. What I want to do eventually is be able to say, okay, well, I want to start an instance of this program. So all the configuration stays the same, but I only want to start attachments and detailed changes or something like that. So that I can scale out these receivers without creating independent versions. I don't want, from a development perspective, this is fine because I'm never going to overload it. But from an actual processing perspective, it would be terrible to have all these in the same actual running instance. So when I deploy this to, say, Kubernetes, this might actually be 10 services, or it might be 5 services, whatever, just to kind of give the depth of scale. And then I can spool up multiple instances of the same ones to speed up processing of several items. So yeah, I've done that in the past, and I realized that I didn't actually configure that in here, so that needs to be added. So the way this is going to work is we're going to create a comment comments receiver. Yeah. And this is going to be an event receiver of comment integration event. This is essentially an adapter to the Kafka consumer. All right. This is the tidy way of setting that up for me. We go in here, we add that in here. Services.add transient comments receiver. Then we go down here. And I should go through here at some point and alphabetize this. Okay, that creates the subscriber to the topic. And the pattern generally here is this receives it and then sends it forward. There's some resilience stuff I need to do in here. There's some stuff like I need to validate how I'm going to handle uh, retries, because pretty much as soon as this is received, it's going to mark it as completed. From the Kafka perspective, I need to handle that later as well. Thank you. So this is an integration event. Generally, I follow the pattern. I just call these updates. I probably don't need to use that. Why is man in the gaming kitchen? How are you today? I'm good, Kenny. How are you? Regular work. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. If you haven't visited Kenny before, Kenny is a game developer slash overlay tinkerer and a creator of a library for Godot for doing Twitch interactions and fascinating to watch. Highly recommend. So this update at this point is redundant here. Need to procrastinate from the regular job. It's telling me that you make cool progress. I'm making some progress. So today I'm working on adding the comments in here. I have been wiring this up the last couple of days. Oh, yesterday I started this, I suppose. To expand out on the features. There's Dota and I had a conversation today, and I realized there's a few features that would probably make it more useful before I actually start switching my focus to actually deploying a version of this. Because if I want to dog food this, I can't use the development environment to do it, right? I can't be tinkering with things and breaking data if I need to keep track of those items. So to be able to dog food this, I need to get it into a place where it is ready. And yeah. And one of those things is actually marking these as complete in some way, because the review date is just going to keep them in here, right? So some form of completion on these is going to be necessary. What are you chewing, dog? Yeah. Chew it some more. Are you actually using it to manage the task for this project? That's what my plan is. I want to do that. So, but I need a few things in here before I actually complete that part. Um, Otherwise, I'm going to end up with a whole load of mess. So what we're going to do right now is integrate these comments, and just the fact that they're all called update is useless. But we're going to continue the path. So the comments receiver is going to take the event and pass it into the actual application code. On the view side of things, this is where this gets a little bit interesting. So I'm not trying to overthink this, right? I'm not trying to over engineer too much here, but the view is going to pull all the systems together, all the data from all the systems integrating. So comments here are associated, right now they're associated to planning items. So I could put a planning item ID on the comment. Because everything links off. I was thinking about this yesterday. Because things link off core objects, I don't attach tenant ID. I don't attach tenancy to any other data, which is actually something I've not seen in other systems I've seen. Tenancy is attached to every single entity. This is me, and I really thought through this yesterday. I'm like, hold on, do I need to attach tenant ID onto everything so I can say, oh, what are the comments for this tenant, or what are the? And then I realized that no, I shouldn't be thinking about the data in that way. I should be thinking about the data in its root objects, right? So projects has a tenant, planning items has a tenant, inbox doesn't need a tenant because it's got a user, and a user is this user, and they're associated to the tenant, so you can tell, where they're associated. Um, so yeah, comments. So comments here have a planning item attached to them, right? Now, if I get to ticketing and I get to stories, comments is comments is comments. I could treat it that way, right? So what I could do here is create a comments table and a planning item comments as a linking table that links a comment to a planning item. What, Missy? What's the matter? You're crying. Um, but um, okay, I'll be right back. Well, that was a disaster. I let the dogs out, not realizing there was someone out there doing the pool, and the you don't know whether people are scared of dogs or not. Like they're friendly, they're just noisy. Okay, so comments. Right now, I'm going to leave this as planning item comments. I don't have anything else for this. So what it's going to mean is that later on, I have to pull all this out when I figure out what other comments look like. But I think it's better to do it this way now than it is to overcomplicate it and write a system that I don't need um, and make it harder than it actually needs to be. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce ID, not null. Phil Shamble, how you doing? Hello. Primary key. And this is going to look almost identical to the actual planning items version of comments. Right. The primary difference is that this is going to have a planning item ID. Also got the job, I hope. Right now I do. So yeah, identifier. 2 streamers I watched lost theirs recently. Oh, sorry to hear that. Well, you know, I would imagine if I lost my job tomorrow that I would be streaming a little bit more. So this is going to be a planning item ID. So I'm actually going to resolve the planning item here because the comment is going to the GUID. It would be okay to store the GUID, but I want to establish the planning item. So if the planning item didn't beat the comment coming in, which would be unusual, but it could happen, then I want to make sure that I've got that data integrity. So I want the planning item to exist. So that's going to be necessary. So down the content, content is envarchar max, not null. Can I ask some questions regarding DDD? Hey, Friday Night, how you doing? You can try. I can try and answer. I would not consider myself an expert on DDD. Same thing for source user ID here. It's going to resolve the data. They added and last updated. So I don't think I publish. What do I publish on there? Yeah, I don't publish that information. So date added here is going to be the date added of the event, potentially. Do I do date added for the planning items? I do send date added and last update there. These rich domain models only contain value objects, so they can be entity or primitive types. You mean sorry, trying to determine. I mean, a rich domain model is one that is well defined and has value. value types, value objects are representations of data to enrich the actual thing. If a number is a number, though, I don't see why you would represent it as anything other than a number. You don't have to put a full context around everything. Domain-driven design is about defining the actual behaviors of the system, and describing the system in its component pieces. I read something recently about DDD, and someone was like, you can have DDD without having aggregate roots and all that other stuff. The book was written with a set of guiding principles rather than necessarily a roadmap to how to do DDD. Your domain model is not necessarily just a set of tools. So, yeah, I mean, it's how you represent the system. Like if a number is a number, should be declaring it as int number or like number where number can be a record type. I would say if a number is just a number and is represented by a clearly defined variable, then it's well defined. Creating a number type just to wrap that behavior doesn't seem to make much sense. So I'm wondering whether I should put date added on there now. Yeah, probably should. So, but again, there's no. I think the thing that I read, I can't remember where I read it, but I'll see if I can find it later. But there's no hard and fast rules as to how to do anything in software development. There are things that work and things that people have found that work, and but again, some with DDD, the reason I don't go near saying DDD is because I understand some of the principles, but I don't think I've ever worked on a system where I've actually fully resolved the domain and I'm comfortable that I've pulled all the pieces out. Like this, I'm developing in a way that I believe that what I'm exploring is some of those contexts. And I feel that they kind of align with my modules in some respects. And it might be that later on, when I read the DDD book again, that some of these things stand out, and I go, "Oh, I can go and change that," because I actually understand that a little bit more now. I think true DDD is about understanding the domain you're in and being able to pull all those requirements out, and then explain the system in a meaningful way, rather than just a big chunk of code, right? I need to change foundation again. Foundation, messaging, events, integration, comment. I think that it is useful to have public date time, date added, public date time, last updated on there. I think that's good enough for now. Okay, so script that table out, generate DDL. So now in view, we have not that. Add new file 013 comment.sql. It's that. I get to tell us view. Now on the domain side of Vue, we have a comment that is, yeah, Vue base. Vue base int right this second. That might change later. Being a bit inconsistent on that one. So Vue base includes ID, identified, date added, last updated. So those 4 columns are handled for me. So this will be public int planning item ID, public string content. I believe I kept with calling it content. Yeah. ID identifier, date added, last updated. Public int created by user ID, public date time. Oh, we got date added, last updated. So it's just did I call it source user ID? View comments. Okay, there you go. So if comment is there. Let's create a thing, update comment. I haven't got the ability to edit a comment yet, so that's going to come down the line. So that's not going to worry about this. Oh, all your namespaces are off. That's not good. Oh, that's terrible. Did I really have them all that off? I did. Ugh. That's fine. That's fine. Oof. Well. Okay, so update comment. So this is going to behave similar to everything else, right? It's going to say, hey, do you have this thing? If you don't, then add it, right? Because again, it doesn't exist right now. Actually, let's remove that one. Parentheses, integration. Correction. Update attachment. Well, should not have empty else. Comment maybe exist. I gotta be stronger at doing that sort of stuff. I don't need to be doing that. Okay, so this is going to look very similar to the planning side of things, right? In terms of its behavior, it's going to look a little similar because I'm going to have this information almost, right? I'm not going to write unit. I'm going to worry about writing the code. I'm going to worry about unit tests later. So this record, the only difference is it's going to have date added. Date added. I'm not going to put last updated on there right this second because it would be, again, going in the same way I just did. It would be bad. Doesn't need to be anything else. I put results on all these, even when I don't necessarily need them, because I do think that I've got some work later on to go through and do some. Well, for consistency, I put the result there, but I do think there's work later on to go through in terms of logging and insights to put those to capture those results in more detail. So I don't think everything is not clean cut right this second. Saying that, here I didn't actually put a result on there. Have I followed? No, I've not been consistent there. So I've clearly flip flopped a little bit on doing some of these things where I've just said, okay, I don't need a result, therefore don't return a result. I'm going to stick with the result for right second. So it's almost the exact same pattern, right? So I'm going to do this a second. So in this instance, it's a comment, and it's command result. You're kidding me. So this is a result, and this is a comment. In the identifier. So this is an identifier, planning item identifier, content, source user. The other side is creating it, so it doesn't have an identifier yet. So this is fine. I'm going to check to see if the comment exists. If the comment is null, then we need to go and get the rest of the information. So this is where this gets a little bit more complicated. So this is going to be acquire planning item from sender. It's not wrong. And that's actually planning item ID. And acquire user from the sender. Right. No, it's adjusted for ID already. They're self-explanatory. I'm not going to leave the comments in there. That would be redundant. I'm not a big fan of doing that. And now we're going to create a new comment. This side of the equation is fine. Again, it doesn't need a created by user ID. They added equals command they added. Yeah, that's fine. Return result success. So just avoid nesting a little bit, make it a little bit easier to read. Things that could go wrong here. These could actually be invalid, right? Um, it will implicitly, the result type will implicitly treat it as the type you intend it to be. So even though this is a result of int, a nullable result of int, this will actually get treated as the int, right? So it's implicitly casting that to an integer, which means that it can be read correctly. So if planning item ID is null, yeah, if planning item ID dot, that's plausible. Dot. That's it's not likely to happen, but it could happen. So let's at least track that. My approach to this is if it happens throughout development, at least that will tell me that it didn't work for a reason. I can see that critical error as an event, as a result of the call. If it does happen in development, then I'll do something about it more defensively. But I don't like even that. I don't like necessarily writing. I'd probably leave that out. Same. I mean, this is possible. And again, the reason I'm doing this is because this creates data integrity. If the planning item hasn't reached us yet, this creates the planning item record with the GUID and gives us that link. And then when the planning item updates, it'll be there. So the system is intact. It might not be correct, but it will be eventually consistent, right? That is the entire purpose of that. Otherwise, I have to write code that says, well, if the planning item isn't there yet, then maybe I don't want to display, like, I might not be able to search for comments, etc. It should always be there. It just might not be valid. So in here now, this just needs to be await send new update comment dot command. This is where the writer doesn't like me very much. Oh, oh, oh. This is source user identifier because this is actually the source of the event. I'm not adding that on as extra information. Oh yeah, we don't need that one. And there we go. That's that done. I have to go through and correct a lot of these. So now we need full stack. No, not build. Again, if you're new to the stream or not, if you have questions or thoughts or opinions on what I'm doing, if you think I'm wildly wrong on something, I'm happy to talk about stuff. I do, this is just my way of doing things, but I'm always open to discussion on stuff. So let's run that up and see if it works. wait for all these to start. Part of the problem here is I now have 13 services if I want to run the entire system up. Change discovery object extensions line 96. How did you fail? What? Oh. So that failed because it tried to integrate a command, planning item. Is my bet. So there's changes and then pipelines. So changes happens and does a diff on the objects. This is the first time I've added a new element. So the update existing, my bet. Let's see. Consumers, receivers, pipeline changes. My bet is that it received the update to the planning item and now has comments on there. Let's stop that running once more. Let's check what it thinks is in the database for that. Changes, collections, planning items. So planning items 52 minutes ago. So it's 8B, 82B. 82B is here. So this tracks the last event body we saw. Right. And comments is not there. So it failed on that one. So what we'll do is go back to consumer groups. We'll go to the pipeline changes. We're going to update the offsets. We're going to update that to 27. Right. I think it's going to get in here. It's then going to try and get down here. And I think the get differences is failing. Is where this is going wrong. Let's see. If it passed this, it would have Hey, Patrick. Going well, how are you? Something that failed again. I didn't fail, though. Inserted one. That did, actually. It was not this one that failed. So the changes actually... No, it didn't publish changes. Oh, man. Sorry to hear that. Wow. I'm terribly sorry to hear that. It's terrible, man. My boss was dissatisfied with my inability to do 5 roles at once. Wow. Oh dear. And we found another full-time dev so she could afford to fire me. So their answer is to overwork another person. Wow. Well, I'm terribly sorry to hear that. Okay, that one didn't actually fail, did it? It didn't update it. Oh dear. I don't get it. It didn't actually let any swear message through. So you good. Ever anything was understood, it would be now. Ads are running fun. This is fair. Basically, my fellow dev and I have spent the last several months trying to clean up the absolute mess of non-existent organizational structure. So now that all my work is foisted on him, it will be immediately obvious that it's too much. Yeah, it's in the contract. And that's terrible. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and it gives him several months of probably a little bit easier life than you would have got. Well, I'm a I am sincerely sorry that happened to you. And I mean, I've, sorry, I'm trying to, um, I've recently taken on a role that is going to require me to probably spend a little bit more time than I'm comfortable with. Personal time. Um, Working, and I've long held a belief that I'm not going to um, oh, I'm much retire before I fall too far behind. I worry that I'm going to be in a similar position um, in the next several months because I think that I want to do my best and I want to um, achieve, but at the same time, I think that there's a lot of um, challenges when you are in a role that is more than just development. When you're in a role that is um, not just about getting the job done, it's about managing all the peripheral stuff and figuring out. It's a challenge. So yeah. Can you show documentation folder in Kafka configuration? Tell a few words if this is JSON file as a simple asset, you separate Kafka configuration from app settings. Hi, Capinora. Documentation folder for me is right now just the README to help me comment on some things as Mojo starts to help a little bit with the project. The Kafka configuration, I have disconnected the topics from the app settings. So I'm pulling them in. Yeah, so my Kafka configuration pulls from here, but doesn't use this as an actual file. This is actually stored. I actually pulled the Kafka configuration from console. So the actual Kafka configuration is copied out here. And when the applications, when the topics, when the receivers or the publishers start up, they pull their configuration so that if they see an event, they know which topic it's coming from. So if I'm subscribing to this event, it goes and subscribes to this topic. So yeah. As for documentation, right now this project doesn't have a lot of documentation purely because I'm the only one primarily working on it. As it goes forward, and Mojo joins me a little bit more with doing some of this stuff, then likelihood is I'll probably document a little bit more. But I don't believe in documentation for the sake of documentation. I think documentation should be kind of built as you go based upon the challenges you face. And I think actually with GitHub being what it is, I think a wiki format in GitHub is actually pretty much would probably be a very useful format for documenting this project rather than leaning into something like Confluence and things like that. But I think I'm going to start leaning into programming streams and stuff soon, so that'll give me something to do during the days. Yeah, yeah. Keep on top of your skills. Freshen up, and yeah. I don't aspire to manager. I don't want to be a manager. I'm not a strong writer and just want to program. Yeah, yeah. I don't necessarily aspire to management. I want to be able to help developers develop. That's kind of where I am. So unfortunately, management is an aspect of that that I cannot and should not avoid because I think it's necessary. My phone is refusing to connect to anything. I aspire to avoid management at all costs, refused it so many times. Yeah, like I don't put it. I think to be able to control the path developers get to take, you have to have if you want to be able to like build good software. I think you need to be able to give developers a chance to go off and build that software without being rushed, without being um, pressured, and have the business explain to them and know that the business has their back. And I think that the only way you realistically do that is by being in a position of management, because then you can actually get a say in the way things are working. So it's kind of a trade-off. Um, some developers care more about the reasons why a business is doing some things. Some developers don't. But all developers need to be protected from themselves, if I'm being frank. Um, well, some people are in a position of getting the company's attention no matter what. But yeah, I'm happy to lead. I'm happy to mentor. I do not care about holiday rotas or other things. Also, no company wants me as a manager. My job as a manager is to build my team. Do you really want me to tell this guy his best way to grow is to leave and grow elsewhere? I think I think if you're in an organization that you don't tell someone, if you have to tell someone to consider their options, the organization's yeah. And maybe it's just maybe it's a result of the organizations I've been in that I don't feel that um as a even as a lead developer, I don't have enough say over the process. Or I'm not brought in at the right time. Maybe that's just the organizational structures that I've been in that have meant that it's felt like I've been um struggling. Um, but yeah. Caparino, by the way, if you are interested, the Kafka library stuff, if that's what you're looking at, the components of this application that are Kafka, um, they are here. I do open source that part. Regarding authentication, are you using an external? I'm using Auth0 for authorization, for authentication, not authorization. Well, authorization right now, but even that, I'm trying to figure out a different plan. Uh, what's that? She's back. She's back. Okay, so what was I doing? Oh yeah, trying to figure out why this is going to fail. I'll start full stack again and see if I can narrow in on that actual error. I've got a feeling I won't be able to do that right this second. Do, 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 do. Um, it's inevitable you have X seniors and 1/8 as many TLs. So the next step for the senior is to move on to continued growth. Similarly, you've been here for 5 years and mastered this stack. Well, we could help you grow in other areas. They might not be the best fit. What's best for you and your aspirations is to pursue opportunities where you can take this technology to a deeper level, which isn't something we offer here. This is common how many companies go further due to SLA, etc. But I think the days of Um, I actually honestly think the days of, 20, 25-year work histories are gone. Um, I think to progress your career, being able to use technologies, I think staying on top of technologies and all that is just, I think it's an inevitable fact, an inevitable side effect of just the way technology is, and that 5, 6 years at an organization is a good amount of time to be effective. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Okay, so that shouldn't, yeah, that hasn't integrated anything. That definitely crashed. So let's add a comment, new comment that should trigger all the events. Interesting. You are going to work now. A new comment. This should trigger things to break. We now get into that wonderful world of debugging a distributed system. And understanding the side effects of changes. So you could make most of these changes in a vacuum, right? So planning items, that comment should live there. This should trigger things to break. So it should see made an assumption that that wasn't finished. Specialization can be both a blessing and a curse. There are people who only write software for a specific niche and repeat the same 3 years their entire 30-year career. Well, they might be less versatile. Some of them earn multiple times my salary. Key question is, what do you want personally from this? That would personally drive me crazy, but some make very successful lives from. Good point. Very good point. That is a very fair point. It does detect it. That did publish. August 28th comments. Yeah, it detected it. That didn't break anything. Was that a first time problem? I mean, for me, I want to drive forward with technology. I think my driving passion, I suppose, is just making the best software that I can and using the technologies that make sense and and growing. Um, I know that as I'm getting older, those opportunities are going to get a little harder to chase. I'm going to have to be better at what I do rather than generalizing. I don't have the luxury of saying, oh, well, I can learn that much anymore. I actually got advice uh, recently to never put down how long I've been a software developer in any resume form or anything. Just say more than 15 years. Because it instantly uh, can exclude you in an ageist way. Um, so I hope to continue to chase the opportunities and be able to um, learn new things. But yeah, okay. So it tells me that the comments are there, but the comments didn't make it here. So why didn't they make it there? Is there a lag? Let's have a look. Matt Ward of coffee shop startups, possibly. The less hipster industries, maybe not. Has never seen anyone under 38 get an interview. Yeah, I find it quite an interesting idea. Planning item comments, lag 6. Okay, so that's not processing. That would be why that's not happening. So it knows that it should, but it's not doing it. So why did I mess up there? So let's stop that running. So this is view integration, and there's a lag of 6 messages on planning item comments. Could have been this one that failed all along. So let's start the receiver for yeah, I'm 35 and these people call me a baby with 10 years professional experience and over 20 years as a hobbyist. Find a career that lets you enjoy your life. I want to enjoy my career as well, though. I care about the software I write. Yes, I can make money. Um, but I find it um, okay. Oh, why did you fail? Can I create a DB set? Silent failing because of async. Enjoy your subjective best. Stop caring about work in favor of life, but respect some. Get a huge amount of enjoyment from work career. It's also my most arrogant when I was like 9 years ago. Yeah, yeah. 9 years ago, I got my job, or almost 9 years ago, I got my job. Oh no, that's 10 years ago now, but around about 35, working to rebuild a system. So I probably was at my most arrogant. Um, I want to enjoy my work. I want to write good software. I don't like the fact that those two are normally not hand in hand. Um, I want to enjoy my life as well. So I do hold a work life balance of I don't generally do much uh, outside of work. Um, I think I was my most arrogant 5 years ago. I feel like really humbled of late. Arrogance can be a strength. I tend to things I don't even bother with now. Yeah, I think these days I've definitely I've 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 waned back and forth on the whole idea of needing certain roles. I've gone back and forth on believing, I don't believe in a self-organizing team. I think a self-organizing team is a very, very rare occurrence to the point where you cannot trust a team to organize themselves. Um, I think it's a people thing more than anything else. We need comments in there. That's why. Public DB set, comment, comments, set, comment. Um, yeah. Um, but I think a self-organizing team, software development team, is a team that does include all the components of that team, from PM right through to QA and DevOps. I think that's a truly self-organizing team. A team that is just a bunch of developers, I do not believe can self-organize. There we go. What? Did you really just swallow? Did you really just do that to me? Did you just swallow the whole? Try that once more. We've got some more messages. Yeah, I think again, if I had my choice, if I could work on Liquid Sky full time, just tinker and build and try new things and learn new technologies, that would be my ideal path. Right? That would be my personal meets professional life, combining in the ultimate way. I could tinker with new technologies, I could play with new ideas, I could learn, I could grow, and I could be a better developer on the other side of it. Or not. Um since changes. What did I set up wrong? Created by user ID. Content created by date time. That's not null. They added. They added. Yeah. Crazy. It needs to be on this one, not the ViewDB contest. The ViewDB contest we'll come back to in a minute. Why do you want to be a better developer? See, I wanted to be a better developer to earn more money, to build a better, easier life. Now I've reached a point I am not rich, but a 20% salary bump would probably not change anything in my life. So the goal is weighing slightly. I want to be a better developer because I love building things. I want to learn new ways of doing things. I want to adapt. I want not for any monetary gain. Honestly, if I could lead a team that that was effective and not even lead a team, be a component of a team. I don't even care about the leadership part. Again, if that self-organizing team comes on, I'm happy to sit in that. I like building. I like the energy of creating stuff, right? I do love software development in terms of it. I want to be creating things, and I think that being better, understanding how to change things, how understanding different technologies, different techniques, different practices, understanding where I failed previously, where I'm not strong enough, or where I don't consider myself strong enough. So there's no monetary gain there. And I'll focus more on what I'm working on rather than the tech it uses. I mean, do I like this product? I think that helps. I think I've said this to Mojo the other day. Having a product that you believe in is definitely, and personal projects, whether this becomes an actual product or not, doesn't matter. What matters to me is that I build it the way that I feel it needs to be built. I'm not trying to follow what someone else tells me to do. Now, if someone comes into the stream and says, "Oh, you should do this," I'm willing to listen if they have a reason why I should do this, and I can have a discussion so I can learn and grow. And whether I grow in the, okay, now I know that my way is the way I'm more comfortable with, and it's not functionally different, then yeah. But yeah, I think 10 people all with the same goal that believe in what they are doing is worth the enterprise of 1,000 people. Some experience and expertise required. Yeah, yeah. I'll be back momentarily. Sorry about that. Hello, Mo. Can we say hi? Yep. Hello. Hello. Hello, my friend. Hello, buddy. Oh, you gonna say hi to the microphone? Hello, bud. Okay. There you go. Hello, friend. Go on. Yeah. Like it's only organizational structure and behavior that prevents me from being more engaged in my work. I don't feel that I should break my back for a company necessarily. Um, but I do love software development and I love building stuff. Did I say hello to you, Deflux? I've been ignoring you. Okay. Is that yes to ignoring you or yes to saying hello? I've not seen you stream recently. Does that happen? Does Deflux stream? On the topic of streams, don't forget later on today, online. So Wednesday. So online streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Another one line stream there. If you like .NET content, if you like um, nice, chill, relaxed streams, one line in the stream is a great place to hang out for a bunch of very knowledgeable people. Well, this is account 2, but streams in it. Actually, I meant default streams on a different account, I'm pretty sure. Try to look up online. Hope your workday is going well. I don't do that to get you to come out and stay in, and I know that you're working at the same time. So okay, so we've still got some lag there. So we've still got a chance. Why is that not working though? The table is configured correctly. Comment has planning item ID, content created by user ID. Those are the only 3 extra fields because you're the 7 fields. ID identified, date added, last updated. Date time 2 is normally when you're not setting date added. Oh, hold on. Did I fail to do that part? That would be why. Integration, update comment. No, I set date added. Do it on the event. But I didn't do it on the event. Only the last comment is going to have, this is a data issue. Been very brain intensive, but good. See, now I add last updated. Oh, they added. You came in the wrong way. Okay. We have a chicken and egg problem going on there. So because I'm changing the shape of the data and I'm changing the value of the data at the same time, different pieces are updated and events exist because I've not ran the process through. So they've not cleared the extra topics. Deleting the topic is not something I necessarily want to do. However, here, what I probably want to do is update the offsets on comments to be 7. I want to move that consumer group past that lag. So there's no lag at all for it to process. So it doesn't care about the comment now, right? In the planning items piece, in the application, planning items, comment on planning item, I don't track. Well, date added is implicit because it's a entity base, so it will get date added the moment I actually create the thing. But then when I subscribe and I get comment added, when I publish this integration out, I'm not adding that information in. So date added equals comment dot date added, last updated equals comment dot last updated. We don't have the concept of updating, but it'll still have that data with it because it's a part of the data. So we should be able to run the full stack. When the full stack is running, all 13 elements, we should be able to go in here. So the comments here, I'm pointing like everyone can see what I'm doing, just moving my arms around. The comments here are listed because the changes are being processed. It does get the fact that there are changes. It's not showing. It's showing all of them because they all, to the system, they all appeared at once before it actually calculated the difference on changes. Because I sent 4. In reality, it would say, you know, this should actually show added, removed, etc. You see, it's from 2, because these 4 comments appeared all of a sudden. If for whatever reason the system got broken, then these would pull through. So this might be a field I actually ignore because I don't think, similar to requirements, I might show requirement added, comment added, etc. But I don't need to necessarily show, you know, the actual IDs. So that's the idea here, that I can interpret this data however I want. Okay. One more time. Do we see the comment in the DB? So that appearing there is indicating that it is saved, that it actually has saved the comment to the database because I've got an ID back. And we hit a breakpoint. Okay, so do we have a date added? Yes, we do. Hit that point. Do we have comments? There we go. We have a comment created by user 2, planning item 7. So we've resolved all the information. There we go. Now, if I refresh this screen, these all disappear because I don't actually have that data in there. So let's start running for a second. Let's get some commits in. 2 big commits, too big, too much stuff. Include they added last updated on the integration event. For I could have made that same commit. Include they added last updated integration event. I like this multi-workflow, this multi-repository workflow in Rider so far. It's actually pretty good. Add script for view comments. The cost of changing namespacing. Add comment to DB context for view. There's two other people. Why do you have to come and cry to me, little one? Do you want to come up and say hi? Come here. Come on. Come here. Come on. You gonna come up? Can you come say hi? Come. Hello. Hello. You're the only one that listens to the cries. Pretty much. This is Taylor. Say hello to the microphone. Huh? Taylor's smaller than her brother, so she's easy to pick up. Oh, tongue out the face. There you go. We need a puppy cam. Yeah, maybe that's what we get sorted. We've got a few extra cameras. Hello, little one. She likes giving hugs. Actually, both of them do. Hello. Yeah. Seriously considering getting a second job, but not sure I can manage. I've contemplated it. I've contemplated looking for some contracting work, maybe like side stuff, just to keep it interesting. But I don't know if I could focus. I think that's not really going to give my primary job the energy it deserves. So you gonna get down now? You happy? Yeah, cuddles? No. You know you sat like a little baby on me, right? She's happy. Okay, you gonna get down? You gonna get down without tangling my headphone cord? She does weigh the better part of like 40 pounds. Okay, let's get this done. All this changed because of namespacing. With the exception of that one. And all that changed because of namespacing. All that changed because of namespacing. Namespacing adjustments. View application. That's long since neglected. I should have done that. I need to be more on top of that one in general. View application. That's because I move things around. And a side effect of me being so willing to change things is that I don't pay attention to the cost of doing them from a Git responsibility. What I should have done is said, okay, I'll come back on that in a second, made the code changes, committed the code changes, and then come back and done the namespace adjustment afterwards in the correct form, and it would have made less of a mess. Receive the comment integration event in view receivers. Apply database. Okay. So in all this feature so far, from the capturing of the thing to saving in the database to publishing the event to receiving it in the view database and now getting to this phase has been about 6 hours of work, give or take a little bit. When you do something in an app and you're wondering if it took, you have no way of confirming. Ah, okay. It took. Hey, important guy, how you doing? One Van as well. Hello. How you doing today? Okay, so last thing. I'm doing this as all one slice of feature, right? So I'm doing a lot of different things in here. I could piece these together through multiple stories. I could break them out in different ways, but I'm choosing to make them all from the moment I capture the comment to the moment I actually display the comment back in here. I'm choosing to make that one commit. So far, again, it has been several hours work, but I don't think that's too bad. I think this feature all in is about a day's worth of work. Being said, it has highlighted the fact that I probably do need to figure out some testing, integration tests, and kind of indicators for, okay, you're changing this thing. What do you need to be aware of? What do you need to keep an eye on? Because things like the changes, I still think the changes might have broken for the same reason, in that it determined that the model was incorrect, so it tried to compare momentarily. That event happened and failed. I just don't want to go chasing down debugging things like that, right? The second being that changes and pipelines right now, which are the two components of the change system, are up for change up for change soon. Whether they become one or they remain separate, I think they will remain separate, because this one is useful for indicating, oh, by the way, this changed, you need to tell someone, and this one is useful for the detail. So I think they might remain the same, different, distinct things, but yeah. Um, 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry once more. The challenge of having everyone home and doing things and trying to stream at the same time. Yeah, so pipelines and changes are going to change, but it does indicate the fact that if I'm going to change something, if I'm going to modify things in the application, add new features, what I need to do is a better job of analyzing what it means for that feature, right? How do I capture those things? And maybe that's something I need to consider. Now, realistically, the reason I'm trying to build this system, the way I'm trying to build it, is so that I can try and build out an application that no, nothing is not running, so that's gonna fall on its bum. So I can try and build out this process of gathering what is required before making an actual story. So the responsibility for understanding the impact on the system is not this component necessarily, but as I move forward, it is something I need to consider. How do I capture that? Because not everything's going to be clean, right? So I'm adding a new thing. Do I require it to show as a change? Do I require it to calculate a difference? Is it going to be included in the changes? Or there's all sorts of questions I need to ask. If I'm going to publish it as part of an integration event, right now planning items are the only one that gets calculated for changes, but that's going to grow again. So I think that's what a good team understands when they miss something there, is unable to quickly understand why that happened and react and move forward with that. If the software is hard to work in, you get diverted and um, get stuck on problems that are unrelated. And I was able to kind of solve several of those things there. Enjoy the remainder of your stream, heading out to do the exercise thing online. Have a fun exercise time. And um, yeah, Rohit Des. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So let's get this tidied up. Let's get this finished up a little bit right now. So what I need to do is determine whether do I need to create a new view? Select star. Yes, I do need to create a new view. Comments where join users view on c dot created by user ID equals view dot ID. And then this would be c dot content view dot name view dot identifier. So a comment as far as the we need date added. Then c dot date added. Now, when it comes to the view, what I do is, because this is going to GraphQL, I add the time zone as UTC. So we do this. As date added. And again, right now I don't have update in there, so I'm not panicked about this, but the reason being that when that goes down to the client, it'll adjust the time automatically now because it's got proper UTC. If you leave it as is, the time will not be correct. It will incorrectly assume UTC, even though it's stored in its local. So it's just a case of organizing the time correctly for the client. So I'm going to create a view from this. New view, comments view. The reason I've been doing this is so I can kind of build these objects out as usable pieces. We did the identifier. If we need to edit the thing at any point, we're going to need that. Column names in each view of the function must be unique. Oh, as user identifier. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to script that out. I've been enjoying using GraphQL, and I've been definitely, growing my understanding. Is it perfect? No, I'm probably doing a lot of things differently than I should be doing them. But for right now, it works. 009, comments, view.sql. When I was showing Mojo through the project, I realized once I got in to try and get it up and running, I realized just how many things I was missing, how many scripts I'd forgotten or how many updates I'd forgotten. So working with somebody else definitely tests your ability or tests your understanding of the system you built. So yes. Yeah. Sorry. I ordered a black coffee for myself, and I thought they'd accidentally just put cream in it, but they put French vanilla creamer in it, and I dislike that stuff. Like, why do you need that many chemicals in a drink? So the way I'm going to build this is we now create an object off of this, and this is going to be in my domain entities view. So I create an entity that's named the same, because from the view perspective, it is the comment, right? We have that. And I think I have a view based message. Do I? No, I do not. I do not create an object like that. Okay. That's cool. I thought I did. Nope. That's cool. So this would be public period identifier, public string content, public period created by user identifier, public string name, date time they added. Then we go to our viewDB context, and this is going to use the view object. So even though it's going to look like comment, it's comment, comments, set, comment. Now, I don't know. Planning item, yeah. I'm to the point where I'm starting to worry about the size of this data. I'm worrying about whether I need to be pulling these more on demand rather than as part of the primary object. So do I need to create an endpoint for comments? We're going to test that. We're going to do it. We're going to do it that way. So we're not going to do this. Because what I've done so far is I've said, okay, well, planning item, get planning items. And you can pull everything you want from planning item because it is in the DB context. But we're going to do this a little bit different. We're going to do authorize, use projection. Although actually I don't need to do use projection because I've kind of pulled that information, haven't I? Let's just add it for right a second. Public task. Now, this is where I do break something. I don't like doing this. But I don't see a great way of getting around it. So this comment here is the view. No, wrong one. It's because I have that. Let's see if that changed anything now. Import that. There we go. Okay. Because I've got them nested into the same structure, it was explicitly referring to them as the view counterparts. So get comments. Now this needs a little bit more. So service, ViewDB context, claims principal, user. But we also need an identifier. Right, because this is for the planning item. So we're going to do await context dot comments dot where. There we go. There's a problem. Design. I have no concept of comment of the planning item on there. Public period planning item identifier. So we need to go back over here, modify this view, and join planning items PI on C dot planning item ID equals PI dot identifier. So some days I'm questioning whether I actually need to do some of this. Now I know from a data integrity standpoint, having that ID does make sure that the records exist in the tables, etc. But yeah. So this would be PI dot identifier as planning item identifier. Operand type clash. Oh, ID. Scripts DDL. No. solve it later. Okay, get it. Okay, so that should give us a comments endpoint. Gotta fix the warnings. I gotta go through them at some point. They're not breaking the application. It will fluster some people, but in reality, I need to develop software. I cannot spend my time going through and worrying about everywhere where the tooling says, "Oh, this could be null." I don't like sticking loads of comments in there telling it to ignore patterns, etc. What I'd like to do is go through with a general rule at some point and say, okay, these are well understood, and I can turn them off en masse. So I'm not going to panic about the warnings. There's no actual errors, by the way. Build. There's no actual errors. That's not that. That's NuGet package restore. Okay, so with that said, we should be able to run this up. We should be able to open the application. Made a mistake there. Access token, copy the value there. Go in here. Authorization. Apply that. The token will still be valid. I think it's like 8 hours. Again, I need some commands to shout people out en masse. I need to get the other projects worked on, right? So I'm just listening to it. When you navigate away from Rider, it will bing, bing, bing in your ear for every project built. So it catches up. Okay, so we should be able to go refresh the schema at this point. Let's close all them. We don't need to save them. They're not. It's not like I can't reconstruct some of these things. New document, get comments for planning item. I'm going to use this to build my piece up. So comments by planning item. That's just a name, I believe. Comments. And we should be able to do content name, I believe. Okay, so that's going to be comments. And that's going to be identifier. That feeds it in. Okay. Let's take this one. I think most of these have been the same for ages, so but we do need particular this one. No. Ah, every time I get tripped up by the primary key thing. So we just need to stop GraphQL here. The reason I started the entire stack up is because without the entire stack running, then I can't add more comments afterwards and test other things. So, but I can get this piece up in a minute. So in view, infrastructure, configuration, view, see how these have, yeah, I didn't create a view version. So comments, view, configuration. Huh? Are you all playing Deadlock now? What do you mean? Entity type configuration. Comment in view. Builder dot to view. Comments view. As key. Okay, goes to kid identifier. I think it's the new secret FPS on mobile. Mobile like Overwatch, I think, from Valve. I haven't turned my game PC on in a long time. Probably should do that. It's a bit wasted. Maybe I'll do that this afternoon. Maybe I'll get that up and running. Check is the Linux dev bots. I've got a bot specifically for that sat behind me. I don't install games on dev machines, so I have distinct boxes for different purposes. And it's only for the fact that it's summer and it's hot that I can't have a dedicated stream machine, so I'm streaming off the dev PC. Although now I've got it all set up, I probably will continue doing this path. Okay. There you go. So we got comments. I install games and everything, just never get around to playing it. I've done that for a long time. I've had distinct machines. So this has a 5800X with a 2080 Super in it and 128 gig of memory, and it's a dev machine. The game PC has a 7900 XTX with a 5800 X3D and 64 gig of memory in it, and a lot more storage. Got one of my shaders selected the shader of the week. That's cool. Nice. I'm a game collector, not a player. My Steam library just grows and grows. I think that's I'm guilty of that on two fronts, physical and um yeah. Because it's wrong. I need to stop that again. So when you do the date thing in the comments, how I've done this no longer is a date time to .NET. It's a date time offset, which is how it comes out of the database. So when you actually go to here, this isn't a date time, this is a date time offset. Oh, best viewers, really? You didn't get detected. That's quite frustrating. Oh no, you did get banned. You did. Okay. Stereo caught it. They should introduce a reduced price rules that allows us to browse games and download but not play. It's like how I use Netflix too. I browse for 30 minutes and find nothing and go to bed. Well, especially Netflix subscription, I'll just browse Netflix because that's whatever. Yeah. If they introduced a pay for what you use on Netflix, I'd be okay with that because my monthly fee would be down to like cents. Okay. So yeah. Let's try that again. There we go. So you can see this comes down with Zulu, so it comes down as 1315. In the database, it is stored correctly. Right? It is 1315 there. But if I look at the actual comments, you'll see that there's actually no time zone attached on the date time that you store. So all I'm doing is realistically, I'm telling the system this is stored as UTC when it comes back out of the database. So everything knows that it's all UTC based, so it can offset appropriately. Um, I have I have long since made sure that I'm trying to do UTC capture of everything date time wise in the database. Um, I have physical as well, like storage containers full of games, all the way back to the 90s and consoles and on computers. I buy bigger houses to store crap. Yeah, I need to be buying a bigger house. Liquid Sky. I shortened it so I can start experimenting with putting some titles in. Being that my streams have pretty much only been about Liquid Sky recently, I want to make sure that if you're looking in on a random day, um, yeah, it's not going to make much sense. But if you're regularly attending the streams, you'll pretty much understand what it is pretty quickly. Yeah, I have this room I'm in is about 14 foot by it's 14 by 14, and I have 3 full walls of video games and consoles. Almost 3 full walls. So my consoles are actually all in boxes in the closet right behind me. But yeah, I need to make some more space. Okay, so with that done, on the view side of things now, we can go to the service, planning item service, and we can introduce the comments as a query component. I would have a structure for the comment. Let's find out how much I did. Planning item comment, ID content. We don't need the planning identifier. We do need the created by user is that's an interesting one. We do have user. User has yeah. That's interesting. I probably should flex that a little bit differently. How do I do it on the other side? Again, I'm trying to embrace the learnings I've had as I've gone through some of this stuff, right? Okay. So really what it's saying is I need to do this. I need to stop that running. This is int. This will make sense in a second. Created by user ID. Get back to the view. So on the planning item, the planning items view pulls out the information. So the comments view actually doesn't need to be very complicated at all, because that just doesn't need to be there. That, however, does. C dot created by user ID. Vacation TBD means more content for the viewers. Yeah, yeah, I can stream for longer. So morning mojo. Yeah, I think some of this is like where I need to figure out the hard and fast rules for how certain things should be done. You're fine. You're fine. That will work eventually. So the reason that's going to work is because if I go back now to the view side of things, what I'll do here is add. So if I was to run this right a second, let's see if it works. Today, a coworker told me that our customer is mad, so all the sync times are off by 2 hours. Awesome. No, not even time zones. So now that has a nested that's an association, right? So now I can do created by user, and I can do ID identifier. I can use that. So I should be able to run that and it'll work. If I call name. Yeah, name doesn't matter there right a second. Right. So now I can pull name here because now I have the user. Right. So created by username. This now makes it more consistent with the other parts of the API. Yeah, I should have gone this path the first time. Content they added. We do need ID identifier. Again, on the client side, when I'm mapping these things, I'm going to need to um, map to ID, so that's why that code's there. So yeah, I would think, oh no, it's just that over here is exactly 2 hours. Mhm. Okay, so I need a comment. So the planning item comment here has ID content created by user, and date added. Right. But I thought about it a little and I remember that our sandbox for the LMS, where we sing, is configured using mountain time. And mountain time is 2 hours off from ET. Wow. I would Gen X, welcome in, by the way. The worst part about that is there's no explanation for why the 2 hours. It's just a 2-hour add randomly in the code. It documents nothing. It tells no story. It's not good. So we got the planning item comment. So what we need to do is in the planning item service here, I'm going to do it in this piece for right this second. Um, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. Sugar. We're going to paste that. This is going to be fetch comments. The reason I pasted that is because, yeah, it has all the structure I need. And this is going to be query of Oh, this is going to be interesting because I'm going to get planning item list response. This is going to be, what's this going to be? Data comments. Export interface. Comments. List response. Helps if you spell comments right. Well, the story I was told 2 months ago was it's a limitation of the tool. Limitation of what tool? What tool requires you to add 2 hours? Comments. So let's go back to the service. Now let's do. So this is going to be planning item list response. No, no, you just went through all that effort of creating that thing. Comment list response. And then we're going to grab our query and we're going to paste that in there. Comments by planning item, identifier, UID, variables, identifier, data dot comments. So that's inferred. And that's going to be comment, planning item comment. That's going to be an array of planning item comments. Yeah. That's an observable of planning item. We are back. Ads, you meant the interrupt tool, but I'm starting to think our brain is the tool with limitations. Okay, so projects store, planning items store. Got add comment there. Let's do async fetch comments. For the planning item identifier. This is bad. No, because I attached the planning item. Fetch comments. Oh, it works. It's not bad. Ugh. Well, if the yeah, I'm not going to go into that on the stream, but it's yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Our customer support person was concerned about it speaking in absolutes. Putting developers on phone calls to talk about issues like that is not a good idea. because it means that the business can't explain the problem. The business needs to explain the problem. Okay. Now we go to the view. So fetch comments. No, I don't want it to resolve that. I want that to resolve. That's weird. Yeah, there's some janky design there. The way this is going to work is the planning item store holds the planning items. As I get more information for a planning item, I kind of load it into the store and patch the state of the actual entity. So I don't go and fetch everything for the thing all at once. I go and add those things in as I go into them. But it does mean that the comments for the entity aren't loaded until I ask for them to be loaded. So when I click on the comments tab here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, now go fetch the comments. And realistically, what that's going to do is it's going to patch the entity and give me a version of the entity that has the comments attached to it now. So it's kind of a backwards way of doing it. It does decouple the service from the UI in terms of the store is the interconnect, but again, it's not ideal. Because what I should be able to do here almost is in my planning module, in the view now, planning items, detail. No, not this one yet. We're testing it in the other part. Components, planning item, detail. So this one has the panel. This has the comments. So you see this has store entities find as planning item. This dot store dot fetch comments for this dot identifier. Then item goes to this keyboard. I'm never going to get used to it. Yeah, this planning item equals item. So when I come in here, when I change the comments, I'm going to fetch the comments. This is going to break the behavior. But it's going to work well enough. You encapsulate the function in your own promise where you call resolve at the end, just so because it allows you to ignore any exceptions that might occur. Because it allows me to return the item, and that's what ultimately what I'm after. It's not the right design. You've converted to Vim, unironically. I'm still getting used to the client side of stuff, Gen X. It's not something that I'm wholly comfortable with. And I'm not really comfortable with the patterns for the signal store stuff. I think I'm wrong and I need to learn how to do them differently. But I've got enough experience of using them now that I think I could understand given some different options. I think I'm misusing the signal stores. The client's my least confident part. You could just return async. Yeah. But here I actually do want to pass down the item, so I'm actually resolving the item. But I don't think that's going to do what I think it's going to do. And I'm testing something new here, right? I'm testing a different way of doing this. I think though that is wrong. What am I doing? I think I ain't gonna change anything. Debugger. Debugger. That's not firing. This store fetch comments. Then yeah, client side is definitely my weakest area. Effect. So change identifier, the import. So that's a signal. That should trigger this. It should go to fetch comments. Oh, hold on. It's building. It's building. Oh, by the way, I might be an idiot, but I can neither drag nor select in progress in JetBrains space. Oh. Nope. You're not an idiot. I just moved it there, but yeah. I'll have to look at the configuration. Yeah. So let's verify it's getting in here. No, let's verify it's getting in the effect. Yep, it's getting there. Oh, it's erroring because writing to signals is not allowed in a computed or an effect. By default, use allow write signals. This is this one again. Can't mess around with this stuff. I do this elsewhere. There we go. This is the pattern I'm looking for. So the problem is one of scheduling, apparently. There we go, that resolves. Do. Okay, let's go here. And this is I only have so much brain power to use. I only have so much time to spend learning stuff and understanding all the moving parts to be able to get something even working. It's functional. It's not good. And this is where I believe that an effective team has specialists in the areas that can help pass on that knowledge. Like something like Gen X is saying, right? Like just return async, an empty async. You could do that. There's things there that I could do that I could learn from. Why am I going to do that? What do I need? What am I actually using the things I'm using for? Um, yeah, this is a big system, and I'm taking on a challenge here that some people might disagree with. Um, but it does mean that I'm going to get spread thinner in areas where I'm weaker and struggle more to understand what I'm doing. Now, it's not like I'm not getting something done here, but in the same, am I doing it well? Probably not. Probably not as well as I should be doing. Okay, so if we go here, we get an item. Comments is not on there. Which item do we actually have comments for? We only have one comment. Um, and that is for planning item 8-2B, which is you are going to work now, which is this one. Item, I don't see comments. Did we see the call? Yeah, we did. We do get the call. So are we not patching the comment properly? This should be loading comments. Oh, why do I keep doing that? Debugger. You're going to work now. Comments is an array. I use Nvim a heck of a lot for simple file edits or some quick editing operations where I don't want to load up a full IDE. Okay, so that works. Item. I mean, this doesn't actually matter at this point because what we should be doing is patching that in. We're setting the state of the identifier, the ID planning identifier, with the comments, and that comment has created by user on it with an ID, an email, a name, and it has the content and the date added. That's all great, and then it should resolve the item. But we're not loading the item out. That's why. This item is fetched before we patch it. So if we change that there, and this is just to avoid having to do that again, right? This is just having to, if I don't, the reason I'm resolving it here is because it's going to give me the current state of the object that I'm actually touching. It's a bit of a weird behavior. I wouldn't do this on the server side. But I don't think I'm using the correct patterns and practices and idiomatic coding for Angular and not React, well, RxJS, NGRX stuff, the signal store. I think I've got to learn a lot more about how to build effective signal stores and how to do that. If anyone has any tutorials or things they've seen that are good for this stuff, please let me know. There we go. Okay, one more time. Do we see the comment in the DB? So we have the view working. Let's go remove that debug statement, wherever that was. That was in there. Okay, so now in the comments, can remove that one. So we go here, go to comments, Gonna work now. So where this is going to mess up. So watch. I'm going to add a comment. It's going to store, but I'm not going to see it. It's got to make it through the system. So let's go check Kafka. So you see the comment got added. Right, I'm going to add a comment. And we also updated planning items. So we published a planning item saying that the planning item now has this comment attached to it. Our changes went through, our changes detail went through. So we identified that we changed this entity. We added a comment before it was null. Now it's after that. So we've got that. Great. On this side now, there's our comment. It appeared. So now if I go back away from this, I'm going to add a comment. Because the problem is now that I've tied that fetch comments method in there, that's only going to load the comments from the server. It's a network only call. It doesn't use what it's got cached. And I don't have any way of signaling to it. I don't have any effective way of signaling to the store right this second. Oh, by the way, this entity received updates. You probably want to go, you want to fetch from the server rather than fetch from the client. If I fetch from the client until I mark the entity dirty in some way, shape, or form, that would be a more effective pattern. And I think that's what I might play around with tomorrow. But nice, Foolbots took over the Godot account today. That's cool. Oh yeah, I see a lot of deadlock in my Twitch streams. That's gonna bug me. That form reset is driving me crazy as well. So when I do that, I technically form reset, but that doesn't seem to want to wipe the content of like these reset when I save, when I add a new planning item, that form group resets. Resets the form group, marks all descendants pristine and untouched, and sets the viable descendants to the default values or null if no defaults are provided. But there's a default comment, this form group, form control comment. I don't get why that's not. I don't get why that's not working. Okay, but I wonder if it's because there's pieces missing of it. Label ID equals value help. Text is a way of saying aria. So Keep having the page down key when trying to shift control select chance test. Yeah, again, I respect the whole using Vim if that's what you want to do. I just don't have the brain power to do it. I already described by. That's what that is. Small ID. So it's not that. It's not that causing it. That's for certain. I think there's a way of. I think there's a yeah, I saw that only. Form label must be associated with the control. Hey, Bug Crushman, how you doing? Is game dev just a physics of math problem? Not quite sure I follow what you mean. I mean, game engines are collections of libraries to do all those things for you. If you don't want to write all your own stuff, the idea of him plugging as a tutorial that took for 10 minutes. Maybe the right answer is don't make mistakes. But it's not just about like navigating the documents, changing my entire workflow to use a keyboard. For what? Is it going to make me that much more productive? I don't think so. So, does that not label? Oh, because 4 equals comment by. If you use Vim and switch to on, you can be that guy. Yeah, defaults taught us about Rider being the vegan editor. Adding a new comment. This won't show immediately. You are not clearing. That is very frustrating. That's a bug I need to fix. Wow, that got there quick. So now if click back on, where were you? There you go. Testing inverted also. So our comments are showing. My gut tells me after a year of learning curve, I would probably be about 8 to 10% more productive, but the drop while learning may never be reclaimed. The vegan editor would be an insult if Visual Studio wasn't cross. I mean, I've just got very used to Rider at this point, right? It's my comfort. After over a decade and a half of using Visual Studio, switching to Rider was not simple, but I've really got to the point where I just think it's just a nicer experience all around. What are you chewing for one? What are you after? Hey, Deflux. No, just saying. Uh, Mojo's become a Vim guy. I Vim after coding in it during my Ericsson time, but just use some basic highlighting. Yeah. Okay, so we have comments displaying. That's awesome. So overall, apart from some styling, which I'm not entirely sure how I would do at this point, I'm not sure what would be useful. Obviously, um, kind of small um, comment created by user dot name, and this created date date added. Meetings in Rider. Hey Deathpacks, how's it going? There you go. So we got that. Do we need that? Do we want to do the 8 hours ago or 3 hours ago, etc. thing? As I mentioned to TB, I think at Ericsson, I couldn't use anything more memory demanding than a basic Remedy. I kind of like Visual Studio. So technically, yes, but it's like keying issue. You animal. If we do any pair programming, that's going to be fun. um, I would argue, I'm going to see that one. I would argue Rider is the lean steak, delicious, quick, nutritious, and hard to fault. VS is the roast turkey, dry, old, and no one eats it apart from. That's so nice. That's cool. Dear. Um, inbox. Inbox is a component. So again, my organization of everything, my organization of all the components on this side, is still very much a challenge. Day.js, there we go. That's what I wanted. So protected read on day.js equals day.js. That's all I want to do that. I'm stuck with what VS is what my work uses. Vegans often travel with numbers. Personally, from my experience, I never want to use another JetBrains product. That doesn't mean I don't think just stop. I know what's on there. It's been instantly for me as I can't use VS. Yeah. And I mean, um, yeah, okay. Day.js. That just exposes it as a thing I can use. Um, VS Code is just write it without the paid features and just pray these plugins are maintained. So there, what we'll do is take that and do comment. Oh, they added. You can do it to me again. You're going to come and cry again. Hello. So now we click in here, go to comments. Nothing works. That's awesome. It errors because day.js from now is not a function. Huh. So message.date send day.js is that. Day.js is that. Did I import it different? Import day.js from day.js. That's how I did it. Oh, you're gonna break. From now is not a function. Oh, because it, hold on. I think there's an extra plugin I need there, isn't there? I think we're missing that part. Relative time. Because I need to extend DJS. Okay, that's it. So we need that, and then we need to do it on init. Construct, yeah, on init. Implements. Can't even type on init. And forget how a mouse works. Don't need that one. Need that. There you go. Jeffrey Winkle an hour ago. There you go. 8 minutes ago. Okay. I think Writer Preview is license free. I think it's free, yes. But if you're using it in enterprise, you might get polite notes telling you to get a commercial license. To use products released in the IAP, you do not need a paid subscription. However, you will need a JetBrains account to use the EAP versions of various tools. Yeah. Yes. You just got to become a Microsoft MVP. uh, okay. Well, it is 10:30, or 10:39 my time now. So I should really be getting on with some actual stuff. Yeah, just keep using the EAP version. You just get what you get. I don't know. I think if you want to stay free, then Visual Studio Code are perfectly fine tools. They'll do the job. Rider I like because it is faster than Visual Studio, especially with this project. If I open this in Visual Studio, it takes a lot longer. It's the struggle is there. I like the configuration we've got with the nested project now, with the commits and stuff. That's definitely useful. So there's some good stuff in there. Yeah, I just think it's Rider's just my happy place now. And obviously I'm all in on the JetBrains ecosystem at this point, right? And after 3 years, I'm paying $170 a year or something for all these products, which I think is more than worth what I get. So yeah, there's that. My Aspire shilling, I should surely I've earned it. Keep on working on it. Keep on working on it. You'll be fine. Okay, so does anybody do development streaming anymore? Like, do you guys have any development streamers that like dev streamers, not game streamers, game dev streamers? Um, that sounds really cool. I shouldn't say it like that. Game dev streamers are developers too. Um, but if there's any streamers you know of that are currently streaming that you also would recommend, even if like especially if they have fewer viewers, I'm more than happy to raid into them. Do I get the recommendations the same way I used to? Game dev, game dev, game dev, C++ profile. Yes, I'll raid into my game dev stream. That'd be seek C++ implementation of a JPEG decoder. Okay. Seeker. Okay, if there's no other suggestions, then we'll go raid Masika. Said right? MySeeker. It's the only other dev that who's following this currently streaming. Yeah, there's not many. There's definitely not many .NET devs, especially this time of day. Um, there's a lot more game devs than there are app devs these days. But yeah, so we got the comments loading. It's not perfect. There's some obviously some challenges there. .NET is a small and up and coming. Yeah, yeah. I should remember that it's only been around for 5 minutes. I'd like to take everyone to a developer. I know I often take you to people like Fullbots, who's doing game dev, but Fullbots right now is on the Godot official channel, and is currently streaming to 143 viewers. So I'm not gonna drop in there. So yeah. So don't forget, later on today, online stream, Miss Pixie's doing React Dev. Okay, that's closer to what we're doing. I'm gonna follow on the secret. That's quite the title. Let's go over to Miss Pixie. React Dev. I missed that part. Right at the bottom of my list of streams, apparently. So let's go raid Miss Pixie. I will be back tomorrow. I will be continuing on with this effort. Probably tidying up this component. Again, if anybody has experience with using NGRX, or more precisely signal stores, and has good tutorials, if you are interested, dropping in the Discord. I would love to hear about any good tutorials you think there are, because I do know that the tutorials that are on the NGRX website for signal stores give you no information whatsoever as to how to develop using signal stores. They can tell you how to put the pieces together, and you can kind of figure out the pieces in between. But I think that's what I'm lacking right now is understanding how to really construct an application and how to effectively use signal stores. Should I be composing a signal store per component of my system? Should I be composing them globally and adding all this functionality in? How should I be considering them, right? Because requirements, attachments, changes, comments, they're all loaded into my planning item. So when I navigate between, all I'm doing is growing the size of the data. Because if I click on an entry I haven't clicked on already, it loads all the extra information in there now. So if it wasn't there before, it is there now. So I get everything. I'd like to load them on demand almost. But still have the signal store there so that when you navigate back and forth, it's not totally lost, maybe. I don't quite know what the right design there is. So I gotta try and learn a little bit more there if I want to build out the UI more effectively. So, but anyway, let's go raid Miss Pixie. I will be back tomorrow. If you have any further questions, if you're new to the stream, there is a Discord linked in the cards below. You're more than welcome to join and ask any questions about the software development and things like that. I'm always happy to talk about this stuff. So thank you very much for joining me. I will be returning tomorrow. Don't forget to check out OneLine later on today. And yeah, take care all. Have a great rest of your day if I don't see you again. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye all.